Welcome to the Land Your Bet Sports Betting Show. NBA season tip-off, baby. Couldn't wait, and we are getting into things with the Knicks and the Celtics. First game of the night on Tuesday. That's going to be all the player prop projections in this video. Also going to have player prop projections for the Lakers and the Timberwolves in a separate one, so make sure you check that out. Going to be doing a giveaway to kick off the season and celebrate. What I want is who is going to be the leading scorer for each team, and how many points are each of those players going to have. Put that in the comments. If you get it right, put you in the raffle to win the $50, doing the same giveaway in the other video. If that all sounds good to you, go ahead and give the video a like, and let's get it. As we get into Jalen Brunson, want to let everyone know we're going to be bringing back the live show every day, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. You bring your bets, jump in the comments, and we get after it together. I show you guys some of the tools that I'm using. Make sure we're finding all the best value. So jump in there on the YouTube channel every day, 5:30 p.m. Eastern. Let's get right into some Jalen Brunson, man. The point guard, the New York savior. He's the perfect player to score points versus Boston, I'll be honest. Now, it is high at this point, 28.5 for the points. Doesn't really entice me, doesn't offer much of an edge to the over. He's running the pick and roll as the ball handler, which is the play type that is liable to score against this Boston squad. They do give up a bunch more to the ball handler because they don't allow spot up stuff or assist to that player, which is why I like the under for rebounds and assists for Jalen. Definitely like the under of the assist at 7.5, available on most books. Thing is that's minus 140 or so. I think you can add the rebounds as well. Guards just don't get boards and assists versus this team, in part because you've got what we call Drew White or Derek Holiday or whatever combo of those two guards you want to talk about for the C's. Really, really good defensively. Got to be considered at least one of the top 2 or 3 backcourts, defensively speaking, in the league. So they're going to continue to give him problems by playing off of him, but the shot will be there if he wants to hit the threes, especially, and probably some of the mid-range stuff as well. But the Celtics give up a good amount from the mid-range, but the key thing here is I like the fade of the rebounds and assists even more than I would take over on a really high points total at 28.5. And as we jump into Karl Anthony Towns, I do want to remind you too, if you want every play that I'm making, the link is in the description of the video. Got a season pass for the WAP.com link there. 40% off if you want that specific deal. If you just go ahead and get the season pass, don't worry about the monthly subscriptions. But just want to make sure you knew, got a lot of questions about where I was putting my plays right now. And that's exactly where you can get them in the Discord there through WAP.com. Karl Towns. I wanted to fade him. I'm like, first game, what are we doing here? 21.5 points is high. 11.5 boards is astronomical. But Precious Achiuwa is out. And we already knew Mitch Robb was going to be out probably till December, January. Who knows? Whenever he's coming back, his knee's just a consistent problem. Achiuwa is going to be sort of a week-to-week thing for the next couple of weeks, it seems like. But he's out in this game. And Cat's going to be playing big minutes now. 34 to 36 at least would be my guess. Still waiting on some projections from some of the sites that provide those. But Jericho Sims is the backup. That's the only other big we have. And they're already going small by playing OG at the 4, et cetera, et cetera. Now, it's not too small against this team. Bridges gives them a lot of height at the shooting guard spot. And you've also got Josh Hart, who plays much bigger than 6'4", so not worried about him. Great rebounder. But it's still Cat and 4 wings, right? And so he's going to need to be out there for a lot. I wouldn't be fading anything except for maybe the rebounds. I would say the points at 21.5 are probably a good over for someone who's going to be probably averaging about 23, 24 points a game this season, would be my guess, as long as he's shooting well enough. But the volume on offense for Cat is going to be there. The rebounds are a little bit sketchy against a team that doesn't give up a lot of rebounds because they don't miss a lot of shots and they box out as a team really well. I'd be fading 11.5 boards and probably going over on the points. Maybe a nice little negative correlation play there. Josh Hart's really interesting because rebounds and assists are always going to be probably a good play for him. The points are where we're sort of starting to question what's his role going to be in this offense. He specifically said that he feels lost in the offense, and that was as recently as like the middle of the preseason, a couple games ago, not even. So the minutes will be there. I don't know about the scoring, but the rebounds and assists are always a good look for him. The rebounds are high, 8.5, which is what he averaged last season. I think he's got to be the second best rebounder. And for OG, I'd be fading rebounds for him. We'll talk about that in a sec because he's going to be guarding Tatum the whole time. It's a low number for him, but I don't think he's going to be taking away from Josh Hart's boards is the key here. And I think that's going to be the case for Mikal Bridges as well, where I don't think he's going to be taking many of the boards from Hart. I think he's likely going to be the second best rebounder on the floor pretty much at all times for this team. OG is interesting because when there was no Julius Randle last year, he kind of took it upon himself to shoot and create his own shot, and he had the green light to do that from Tibbs. I would guess that he still has a green light, but I see him stepping back into the corner, playing that corner 3 role more than anything on offense. So I'm not really looking to attack his points yet because I don't know how high his usage will be. Will that pass make it into the corner from the wing for OG Anunoby now that Cat is in the offense? I don't know. I don't know how that's all going to go. The rebounds are something that I want to fade, but they're low. They're at 4.5. I'd have a nice edge to play the under if they're at 5.5. He averaged about 4.5 last season, and in the 14 games he played with this team with Randall, which I thought was important because Cat is going to be out there somewhat the equivalent of Randall. So in those 14 games, 15.5 points, 4.5 boards. Still like the points more than the rebounds. I would be fading the rebounds before going over on them, but there's no real edge to either on them. Like I said, the key to the rebounds is that he's guarding Jason Tatum, which does two things. It really makes him super busy and focused on stopping Tatum, less so on getting the board after trying to stop Tatum, who's going to be taking his normal 18 to 20 shots in this game, if not more. So that'll keep OG from being the best possible rebounder because he's going to have to contest the shot. Plus, Tatum plays out on the wing. That is the second point. While he does drive, he's not going to be in position to get rebounds off of Tatum's shots that are from far away. And he's going to be shooting the ball as much as anyone, probably alongside Jaylen Brown. Cam Payne, Mikal Bridges, Miles McBride. I don't know. I mean, right now for Mikal Bridges, his shot looks busted. I don't know if you've seen the video, but I highly recommend just Googling Mikal Bridges busted jump shot. And it looks like someone just got in his head and he had his power sucked out through the Monstars, whatever. Like, it's just weird. It doesn't look like his shot. It's all like takes forever to get up and it's nasty. I still think, though, that might not be as big a deal other than he needs to hit the open corner 3. I think he might be reverting back to his role that he had on Phoenix, where it was a lot less about scoring, the way it became that on Brooklyn, and a lot more about playing really good defense, just being a really good role player on the wing to make the right pass, get hustle plays, rebounds on offense, similar to Josh Hart, but make those open shots. I just don't know if he's going to be making those open shots right now, and I don't know what volume he's going to get within the offense in terms of his usage percentage. So I don't really want to bet on him with anything. For Payne and McBride, I don't understand how they're going to both be playing in this offense. You've got Jalen Brunson and these two small guards. Deuce McBride's a good defender, but not on guys that are going to be much bigger than his roughly 6-foot frame. So I don't know who's going to get the minutes there. I would guess McBride, but Cam Payne has props up. They're very low. I would still be going under for Cam Payne, assuming Miles McBride gets the backup point guard minutes, and there's not that much room for Cam Payne in the offense after that. Other side of the ball, we got Jalen and Jason. Let's start with the Celtics studs right now and look at both points and rebounds for them. Don't really know what to do with assists, to be honest. I think Derek White's a lot more likely to get those dimes, as well as Drew Holiday, who should be playing in this one. Listed as question or a game time decision for Drew, but the only injury listed next to his name is rest. So I think he's still going to be good to go. That said, the points and rebounds for these two, still don't really know what to do with them. They're very, very high. You can play the narrative of it's the first game of the season. They're itching to get out there. Jaylen Brown has a lot to prove. Jason Tatum has a lot to prove because he wants to be seen as the next dude in the league, and he couldn't even get on the floor in Team USA. So you could say there's chips on both their shoulders. It's not enough for me to just say take over on both these guys or either of these dudes. I just want to look at the numbers a little bit. They don't score very much against this team, and I would argue this team got better on defense, the Knicks being this team, than they were last year. Going to make it tougher for both these dudes to score. Better wing defense, especially now that they have Mikal Bridges in there. And so if you look at Brown last year against this team, under in 4 of 5, this 23.5 point number for him that he's got as his prop. In terms of the rebounds, I wanted to see what happened with and without KP. Jaylen Brown does have a little uptick to his rebounding without Kristaps Porzingis. He goes from about 5.5 boards a game to 6 boards per game. Over in 19 of the 31 in terms of his 5.5 rebound line in this game. Still not enough of an edge at like minus 115. Not really enough to make me pay for that. And then for Tatum, also went under this very high 26.5 point number, which is exactly what he averaged on the season in 3 of 5 versus the Knicks last year. And he actually has a slight dip in his rebounds per game when there's no Kristaps Porzingis out there. Partly, I would guess, he's doing more of the shooting from the spots that KP was in. He's more of the pick and roll man now, rather than having the ball in his hands. He and Derek White run a lot of pick and roll. He and JB even run some. So I would expect him to be a little bit further from the basket on offense, a little bit more focused on facilitating and other things rather than getting the boards. Don't like the rebounds for him or JB. Probably stay away from both those guys. A bet that I do like, though, is on Peyton Pritchard, or as I call him, Pusha P. Points and assists. I'm fading this man. I think we've got really bloated numbers here due to the fact that he had a number of games where he played really well, got a ton of minutes because they were in a blowout, right? He'd come in the fourth quarter and play that garbage time. And when he plays that garbage time, he's the man. It's his offense. He's the point guard running everything. So that's when he gets really good numbers. But if you look at him playing 25 minutes or less because he's in close games and there's nobody really hurt for the Celtics like I'm expecting in this one, that would amount to 55 games where he played 25 or less, under in 46 of those games of his about 12 and a half points and assists prop line here that you can find on most books. If Drew is actually legitimately questionable and not likely to play, it's a little different story because that's when Peyton has had some good numbers when Drew Holiday's out. If you look at the games where it was just Drew Holiday out and not too many other guys, right, because they're not sitting everybody, he did go over in 4 of 6 games where he played fewer than 30 minutes without Drew Holiday, right? 6 of those games over in 4. But I still think he's playing, and even if Drew's not playing, I still think this is a good number because the assists are too high at 3.5. He's either going to get run off the line, in which case, fine. He can come in. Maybe he can make some plays driving to the basket and find cutters at that point or open shooters and get some assists. But if he's doing that, then he's not scoring. And if he's getting left a little bit more open, then he is scoring, but he's not going to have opportunities to get the assists. So I like combining them together. I don't think he can do both in one game. The man who would benefit the most from Drew Holiday being out would be Derek White, but he's already going to probably continue to benefit from Kristaps being out. I like the points and assists combined for D. White, who had a really nice run at the beginning of the season last year where Kristaps missed a bunch of games. Derek White became a little bit more of the de facto point guard as opposed to an off-ball player because when Kristaps is out, he runs the pick and roll a lot more as the ball handler with guys like Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. So I like the points and assists over for him in this situation, but I'm still waiting to see. It actually was at 19.5, went down to 18.5. If Drew is out, this is a bang, no question spot, and this will definitely go up. But I don't think he's going to be out. And I do think, like I said, he'll be the pick and roll ball handler. That's where the Knicks were the weakest last year with sort of Jalen Brunson being the spearhead of the defense. At least that's where he was playing mostly. That was a big weak point for them, right? So you saw them give up a lot to the pick and roll ball handler, which D. White should be doing. Not really sure who's going to be guarding him is the other thing that sort of kept me from just pulling the trigger on this bet officially is that Mikal Bridges might be on him playing a lot, more of the stopper role that he had in Phoenix, like I said, and that would scare me from taking some Drew overs as well if Mikal's back into that defensive form. Looking at the two older vets on the squad, we got Papa Al pushing 40 and Drew Holiday as well, about 34 years old. At some point, we got to see fewer minutes for these guys. Problem is, Al is the one big that they really trust right now. Now, they trust Cornette, but things are not the same if you don't have the three-point shooting of Al Horford. Xavier Tillman would probably be a better insert right away. He can even shoot threes at this point, as we saw in the playoffs. So we'll see how many minutes Al's in for. He averaged less than 27 during the regular season. That you had KP for a good amount of the regular season. Cornette saw some minutes, so I think he'll be splitting with both those dudes. Makes me scared to just take an automatic over. I'd actually be looking to potentially fade Al Horford in a matchup that'll probably be tough with Karl-Anthony Towns. We'll see how it goes. But Drew, like I said, listed as questionable. Think he's likely to play. I would expect him to be in there for a solid 34 minutes, but I still think the points are kind of high. 13.5 points. He averaged 12 last season in that amount of minutes that I project him for in this one. So I'm staying away from both these guys, but I actually lean slightly to the under for both of them. It's a little bit of a crapshoot either way. Wanted to let you know about one of the tools I'm using, Outlier.bet, one of the best in the biz. Really nice, easy one-stop shop to get everything you need. Things like potential assists, rebound chances, all the volume stats you need to make sure that you can make your own good projections. Definitely recommend checking this out with the link in the description of the video, 7-day trial. Give that a shot. Other than that, going to be back, like I said, with the T-Wolves and the Lakers, so make sure you check that out. Subscribe so you don't miss any of this stuff. So happy Hoop is back. And until I see y'all next, happy betting.